Cool. Okay. I'm Felicia Slaton-Young. I am one of three children by my parents. I'm the oldest child. We have lived in Chicago. I have lived in Chicago all my life. We lived in West Lawndale till I was 12. And when I was 12, we moved to Englewood when my mom acquired a home here. And we've spent all our years growing up here, going to school here. I went to Earl before I ended up going to a charter school. And then my brother and my sister went to St. Benedict the African, and that's where they matriculated from. I am a Curie Condor, of course. Went to high school at Curie. Had the best 4 years of my high school life. I don't know about anybody else, but I enjoyed it. So matriculated through high school, got married, had my son. My son is now 32, will be 33 this year. I don't know how he's 33 when I'm still 33. But anyway, went to college, went to Savannah State University in Savannah State, where I graduated with honors. Went from Savannah State to go to grad school on the naval base because my husband at the time was military. So I graduated from Webster University. And that was, the school's actually based out of Missouri. And so, and now I'm here running the Greater Englewood Chamber and the GE Chamber Foundation with all of my colleagues who are here working to continue to support small business owners throughout Englewood, as well as us, really focusing on workforce development in the clean energy space. And so that's really who I am. I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl. So my role with the Greater Englewood Chamber, I am one of the co-founders and I am the executive director. Part of my work is really leading the team around supporting small businesses, what it looks like to show up for them, helping them to understand the kinds of questions to ask business owners. Some are very easy questions to ask and folks don't mind sharing, and some are very difficult, especially when you start asking, how do we support you financially? What are the financial struggles? Some of it's accounting related, some of it's operational related, and making sure that our team is really sensitive to that. As humans, we are emotionally tied to money. And so money can, and however it shows up in our individual lives and the lives of our business owners, can be a very traumatic experience and can be very hard for folks to talk about. And so my job is to make sure that we're all sensitive to that and that we understand, or we try to understand how folks are managing and feeling and dealing with that without placing our own bias in these conversations. And so that's kind of what I do here. So I'm just making sure that we are being supportive without being biased around what a small business or entrepreneur should look like, feel like, talk like. And entrepreneur shows up in many places, and our job is to be as helpful as we can and be as supportive as we can. Building and creating a chamber of commerce, a nonprofit, definitely not in my wheelhouse and nothing I expected to do. But actually, I'm a financial advisor by trade. So I am registered with the SEC, or was registered with the SEC before I went independent. Actually, what led me here was a desire to look for additional clients. I was growing my book of business at the time, and I had a couple of millionaire clients who actually were Englewood residents. They were really sweet, really outgoing, both families really hardworking, and had done some incredible things to save and grow their wealth, and had trusted me to continue that process and get them over the $1 million mark at the time. And at the time, I was like, wait a minute, if there's two, there has to be 4 or 8 or 10, and I want to be their financial advisor. So really, I started this process because I was looking for clients. It led me to dig a little deep and learn that there was a Chamber of Commerce. It was disbanded. It led me to Rage, learning more about the Resident Association of Greater Englewood and the work that they do to just keep residents informed and participating in all the things that are happening in Englewood. That meeting led me to the Greater Englewood CDC. At the time, it was led by Glenn Fulton. I learned a lot about the work that they were doing. At the time, they had just opened a tech incubator, and so it was really, really cool. And I was talking to them. I was like, there's not a Chamber of Commerce. How are existing businesses participating in all of the conversations around the growth of the community and what their role could be and how it could impact them both positively or negatively. And no one had an answer for that. And so I said, well, maybe I should start it, and didn't know how to do that. Got introduced to Eric McLeod, who was one of many co-founders of the Greater Englewood CDC. Talked to him about what I wanted to do, and he said, hey, let's do it. And August 2015 is when we started building the Greater Englewood Chamber of Commerce, and we're into the beginning of our 11th year, and it has been a definite labor of love. I've learned so much more about resiliency, about support, about just showing up for folks who sometimes just need you to be there. They don't necessarily need any money. They don't need any words of wisdom. They just need a helping hand. And so it's been great to learn and experience community in a way that engages small business owners and smaller entrepreneurs who live and work and play here in Englewood. And so really building this chamber was really about growing my own wealth, and I've grown wealth in ways that money can never pay for. So that's how we got here. I'm going to say that word wrong. Phenomenally strict ass Black marketing professor in undergrad. And baby, she took a grade off for every a grade. You got good real quick and not saying And it was something that was always in my brain after that class, because I tell people that class strengthened me, but it traumatized me at the same time because she was for real. She was such a good marketing teacher, a professional. I mean, and she was actively working for a firm. This is in undergrad at Savannah State University, but she was strict. She was like, for every I'm lowering your grade. And so when she said practice, you better have practice, because them are very, very costly. So I try to get really good at not using but the other thing, when I think about the trauma of it, is it makes me listen to other people when they talk. I was like, they're doing a lot of and it's because it's, like you said, it's a filler word when you're trying to pause, and instead of just pausing and that was part of the learning. It's okay to just stop talking versus trying to just keep words coming out of your mouth. So anyway, that's my trauma. I remember her. I will never, ever, ever, ever forget that class, and I was so grateful to only have to do third one time, one semester. Anyway, that's my thing. Oh, my hopes for the future for the chamber. Really, my hope is that we finish the two developments that are in our pipeline. One is the Emerald at 6855, which really was, I don't want to say an accident project, but a project that just kind of fell in our laps. And so we're really excited about the Englewood Emerald. And so I want to get that one done. And I really, really, really want to focus on, after that is completed, really starting and finish the Innovation Hub, which I think is really my baby. Just because we started with that in our vision of what that would be and how that development could be such a catalyst, not just for the community, but for inventors of color in the green energy space. Really having a space on the South Side for developers or entrepreneurs who are developing their prototypes in the green energy space, and looking at what that partnership would look like across the city with MHub, who I think, our entrepreneurs can then matriculate in a sense to MHub to get supportive manufacturing around those initial items that they're building and creating. And so I think for me is that once those developments are done, I can see the exponential growth of the work that we're doing here. Even as I think through some of the work too that we're doing with our partners in this community investment, wealth building model that we're building collectively, Englewood is in its renaissance phase. And I think my excitement for the work that we're doing as an organization and our partnerships with organizations within Englewood and this collective work that we're doing is so powerful, and we're still like really building what that model will look like eventually. I can see the continued growth of this organization that continues to support that work and the workforce development activities that we're doing in the green energy space. I think our future is bright, and I think this is at the beginning of our 11th year. I think we're still at the beginning of our growth. I think, how we will show up in this community and how we will show up for small businesses once we get those developments done is just the beginning of what we will begin to see in the next 10, 20 years. I'm excited to see the evolution of this organization beyond me. I'm excited to think about what the succession would look like as I begin to offboard in maybe 10 years. But we still have a lot to do. But I think what we've done so far has shown people that we are here for the long haul. And so I'm looking forward to meeting and introducing the new leader of the Chamber of Commerce. Oh, what motivates me to continue growing this organization? I say my biggest motivator is really the small business owners. We meet so many new business owners that either move a business here to Englewood because they're expanding and maybe this is a second location, or this has always been a dream community for them to open their business. I think what really continues to keep me motivated is our work, because as long as there are new businesses being developed and created and opening, specifically brick and mortars, there will always be a reason for a chamber to be around. I've heard folks say chambers are just organizations that put on events, and that may be true for some organizations. It's not true for the Englewood Chamber, specifically because we do more than that. We act as a real resource, making sure that people have access to the information for small business at the city, the state, and the county level, the government level as well, because there's so many pieces of information, grant application, other resources that really help small businesses to grow. And when you're a small business owner and you are an employee of one, you're not focused on that. You want access to it. They all want access to it, but they're working their business. They're making sure that they have their customers. They're making sure that they're focusing on promotion. They're making sure that they have enough of the items that they're selling and promoting to make sure that they can continue this business that's designed to support themselves and their families. And so I wanted to make sure that when I was building this organization, I was focused on not always just being in the office, but making sure that our team got out and went door to door and checked on business owner and told them about what was happening. And so I think our value is in staying connected. I think we focused our first 2 years of building this chamber on just getting out and telling people who we are and being visible. And if you talk to some of those businesses that we talked to back in 2015 and 16 and 17 and all the years in between, they will tell you that they know us because we came to them. We didn't ask them to come to us. And that is what they continue to value, is that we show up for them. They can't always get out, but we can. And so we make sure that we do that. And so what motivates me is to make sure that they are motivated to keep going, because that's important.